What's up, Cats fans? Paul here from the Hoops crew, and it is match reaction time. We've just gotten up against the Crows by 5 points. We are an hour out from the game now, and I'm buzzing at the moment. We got the job done. It was a tight one. It was a challenge. They were a team that didn't go away. I spoke about it a little bit. Well, I don't have any preview platforms like the Chaps or Ben do, but I was talking about it a lot with work colleagues and kind of anyone who'd listen over the course of the week, that the Crows have demonstrated time and time again over the course of season 2024 that even against the very best teams, they're remaining in it. Now, of course, they had a pretty bad game last week against the Hawks, but their pattern of behavior over the course of season 2024 is that they are in games up to their eyeballs, and then they just drop short because there's maybe that lack of class or experience or skill or whatever it happens to be, a bit of luck in some cases. And so I wanted to kind of work through this game, knowing that this was a team that was potentially going to challenge us at various different stages. And boy, did they do that. So let's bring up the scores and go from there. Firstly, the Cats getting the job done, 13-12, 90, beating the Crows 13-7, 85. It was a little bit closer than I thought, but I was thinking 2 goals. So it was basically thereabouts. If we go to look at the match summary and kind of look at the worm, as you can see, the Cats kind of controlled it for the majority of the game. We kind of started to push things out for a while. They're getting out to as much as 22 points before a surge of 5 Adelaide goals consecutively. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 changed the complexion of the game significantly. Now, I do want to, I guess, address the fact that for me, this sort of pattern, this 10-minute, 15-minute block of game time has been a problem for Geelong over many weeks this season. We've had a lot of challenges in being able to curb the momentum of teams when they get on a run. And that's a normal thing for teams to kind of get to catch fire, to get hot. But we need to be able to curb that. It happened against Sydney in a game that we're controlling, and then they just ripped the game away from us. The Crows nearly did it here. We've seen other teams do it to us over stages of this season. And if we can arrest that part of the game, we can make a massive splash this final series. And with 13 wins on the board, we've all but secured our final spot now. So, I don't know, like we just need to find a way to curb that. Now, I will say, before I really jump into player stats and team stats and all those sort of things, we did have opportunities along the way. Right here. Where are we? Wait, rush behind? Oh, that was the spoil. The spoil, that's right. The arm chop, I should say, against Jeremy Cameron that would have curbed the momentum a little bit there. The umpire made a horrific decision to not award Jeremy Cameron with a free kick, which would have been directly in front, probably 20 meters out from goal for an arm chop. Didn't get paid, went up the other end, and Josh Rochelle kicked a goal instantly. That was a bit deflating. But had that been awarded, that would have rectified the first goal there. And for a team that's trying to make a surge, you go, okay, here we go. We've got our first. Let's go. And for the opponent to kick a goal straight back, that hurts. Or the little bit of bad luck that went with Ollie Dempsey kicking it behind here, where, I mean, there was 2 reviews involved in the entire play. The first one to adjudicate the fact that he had actually taken the mark inside the field of play, to then go and have the shot and graze, probably knock one layer of white paint off the goalpost, because it made a very, very small mark on the edge, but ultimately register behind. There was 2 opportunities there to potentially bury the Crows, and it didn't happen. But it's still, at the end of the day, there were still 5 consecutive goals kicked, and we've got to be able to pull the handbrake on these teams. It's still got to be an area that we work on. Not stoked about that fact. But if we can set that aside, every time the Crow, well, and look, even inclusive of that, once we finally we got the break, they kicked the first, Riley Thilthorpe kicked his third, gave a little bit of this to the crowd, Ollie Henry style, which didn't work out for you, did it, champ? We then, went back to the Geelong of the rest of the game, which was, having an answer for every single question that was thrown our way. Because you can see with the worm, we got out in front, and then every single time the Crows would kick it 1 or 2, we'd kick away again. Like, we constantly had them. It was that arm wrestle where they're kind of pushing, and then you just go, nah. but you never finish the job. And we didn't finish the job today, but we came awfully close to finishing the job. And that's a shame because it made for a terrifying final few minutes of the match. But we got the chocolates. We got the 5-point win. We're currently second on the ladder, though, as I record this, there's a bit of a bloodbath occurring in the Sydney and Port Adelaide game, one that I don't see Sydney salvaging at this particular point. And so Port will probably sit above us on the ladder. Carlton and Collingwood are playing at the moment. Maybe Carlton ends up getting on top there. It's a lot tighter, but Collingwood have a lead as of this time of recording. There's results that could fall our way. There's others that may not. We, of course, have a really important game against Freo next week. If we can get the points there, that secures our top 4, I think. But fate's in our hands in a way. All right, moving on to some of the team stats and to kind of, I guess, discuss the type of game that we saw from Geelong. It was a bit more of that frenetic sort of game again. A lot more kind of long kicking and a little less handball that we've seen in recent weeks, a little less stop and start and chipping and around sort of stuff. Our disposal efficiency as a result down a little bit because we were trying to play a faster game, but our efficiency inside 50, quite good. Free kick count again, we've won. What is going? The umpires have seen the numbers and have seen the light, and now we're winning free kick counts out of nowhere. Don't know what to make of it. The hitouts, I'll talk more about Rhys Stanley shortly, but I don't make too much of what we saw there. The clearance numbers were fantastic. That was absolutely phenomenal to see that we absolutely pulverized them in every aspect of the clearance game. It's certainly when we had 30 seconds on the clock and needed to kind of hold on in some ways or find a way to kind of kick goal. I felt comfortable in the fact that we were going to, if not, break away with the ball ourselves, at least break even, and we did so. We managed to do so. We managed to launch it inside the forward 50. Shawnee Manor did a great job. We had a whole bunch of players key to the chain there at the very end and salvaged that game for us, and we kind of held on for the win. But stoppage clearance, our game was awesome there too. Like the midfield contest was awesome. It's a midfield that's starting to click. I know we don't have the class of some of the teams that we're going to be coming up against, but it was a really strong performance from the midfield unit this week. And that's, again, highlighted with the contested possession numbers. We put our head over the ball. We crashed through. We did an awesome job there. We played a less outside game. I'm okay with the way this looks. Our turnover game was still lower than the Crows. Like, that's good to see too. Marks, again, we played less of that kind of stop and start sort of game, and we forced the Crows into a little bit of that themselves. They were forced to play slower. Their momentum was halted at several different occasions. Okay with all of this as well. And beyond that, it's all scoring. Tackles, they were chasing tail for the majority of the game. We still maintain an average, which has been really solid for us this year. Totally okay with everything to see there. Tackles inside 50, pretty even. Interchanges, influenced a little bit by some injury later in the piece with Sam de Koning. More on that shortly. But we're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good when it comes to the team stats. Very much the team performance. So when I shift to some of the player numbers and talk about what we see there and focus specifically on the Cats, I'm pretty happy with what I've seen overall. And I talk about our midfield unit, so I'll focus on disposals initially. Tanner Bruin started off kind of quiet. He had about 7 or 8 disposals at halftime and then lifted significantly in the second half. Was phenomenal in the second half. Clearance numbers amazing. Well supported by Paddy Dangerfield, Max Holmes through the middle, Tom Atkins playing off 62% game time, Dangerfield off 62% game time. We are doing this while managing our players and keeping their bodies intact. It's awesome. I'm stoked to see what we're doing with the midfield. I'm still hoping that we unleash some of these beasts later in the season. They start playing longer minutes. But it's great to see. Shawnee Manor's doing a great job. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Shawnee Manor with 2 goals. He's really starting to impact around the goals. He's starting to kind of bring the strengths of his game into the mix now, whilst getting his hands on the ball, whilst clearing the ball, whilst getting plenty of possessions. He's really starting to develop into the player that we saw through the VFL. It's been great to see. Jeremy Cameron with a close to BOG performance, if not best on ground, with 6 goals. Lit the game up, but refuses to kick a set shot. Jeremy, you're one of the best players in the competition. Any chance you'll walk a straight line and have a shot on goal at some point. Anyway, he was phenomenal. The defensive unit, very, very solid as well. I know like Riley Thilthorpe was probably the hardest matchup that we had for the entire game. He kicked 3, looked very, very powerful. He's going to be a very difficult customer over the course of the next 10 years. He's developed into that body phenomenally, and he's going to be a real challenge. But we did a pretty good job of kind of forcing him into difficult spots. He was clunking a lot. He was doing an amazing job in that regard. His contested marking was top notch, but we put him in difficult spots by the way we positioned the players around the field. Our chess play moves were awesome and made it a lot harder for the Crows to fight against that, especially with the narrow GMHBA stadium ground. There was honestly not really any weaknesses. I will talk about the fact that as an unabashed lover of what Jack Bowes brings to the Geelong Football Club, I'm really disappointed that he was the sub this week. But this might be kind of more for a management thing than anything else. I'll deal for now, but I don't want to see this continue. Sam De Koning, we obviously touched on injury there. Let's talk about him in a little bit more detail now. Chris Scott has spoken in his post-match and said that it's a patella thing and not an ACL, or they believe it's not an ACL yet. That is amazing news because things were looking pretty dire for a while there. I was getting really worried for what that would mean for the rest of the season 2024. But then, you see him in the post game and there's no ice. He's just walking around and talking to other players. So I'm hopeful. There might be a layover week. Not great timing considering we're playing against Freo, but I'll take that. Any day of the week, I'll take that over the alternative. It does make me think. I'm floating an idea out there, and I hope you, the Hoops crew loyal who are watching right now and pop their 2 cents in the comments. I want you to let me know what you think about the idea of maybe Mark Blitzar's going back there for a week. He's not been accumulating in ways that he has in the past, though. Today was one of his better games for the season. I don't know where he's gone. There he is. That was, I guess, in terms of just getting hands on the ball, that was one of Mark Blitzar's best games for season 2024. But he's been a little bit off this year. He's not been playing badly, but he's not been as prolific as what we've seen in the past. This guy was nearly all Australian as a fullback a couple of years ago. And so maybe when we're dealing with the likes of Josh Tracy coming up and Jackson and what's his name, other big ruckman, I'm going blank, Sean Darcy and all these sorts of blokes that are coming up, Freo have got some height to stretch us with. Maybe we toss Blitz back for a week if Sam De Koning's out, just to help support and provide a little bit of verticality in the contest. That might be an option for us, especially if Rhys Stanley comes back. And that segues nicely to Rhys Stanley's output today, which was really quite good. I'm not going to say this is the best game that Rhys Stanley's ever played. And certainly, I mean, if you want to base it exclusively on the hit-out numbers, then he got beaten. But it's not just about that. He competed so well around the ground, didn't allow Riley O'Brien to get the ball easily. And even in terms of the rucking contest, while he lost the rucking numbers quite significantly, I'll double check. I'll bring up both teams here and sort it by hitouts. Riley O'Brien had 53 hitouts for the game, but I'd hazard a guess, and I don't know if the AFL side here lists like hitouts to advantage or allows us to bring up that sort of figure. Let me see if I can do that. Stoppages, hitouts to advantage. Let's take a look at that. Or hit-out win percentage. I'll bring... Wait, what? Oh, let's just put all of them in. Let's just go. Whatever. Hitouts to advantage, 8.7. Hitouts 1, 3.8. Have I got both teams in there? He's obviously got greater numbers. And certainly, you get those greater numbers, you're bound. Like, he's only put a quarter of them down the throats of his supporting midfielders, and Rhys was so quick to jump into the contest from there that he was throwing tackles, he was bodying players, he was making it really hard for those midfielders to then clear the ball. He quickly became that extra midfielder that we want him to be because he's so athletic. It was a really great game from Rhys Stanley today. Had some score involvements and those sorts of things as well. And I think going forward, he's done enough, at least in the short term, to remain in our team, I think. Especially in lieu of Sam De Koning potentially being out for a week. But I want to hear your thoughts on all things Rhys Stanley as well. Please be respectful in the comments. We know that Rhys Stanley can be a bit of a lightning rod topic. Let's talk about him properly. Let's be constructive. Let's work out what is best for the Cats, whether Rhys is or isn't in the team. But I think he's done more than enough this week to remain there, and I hope that's the case. A game against Freo next week with 2 very competent ruckmen. I feel like we need him But we'll see. We'll see what the Cats coaching team wants to do. All right. Beyond that, of course, we mentioned Jeremy Cameron. He kicked 6 goals. He was phenomenal. Looked nigh on unstoppable. Took this incredible mark, kind of running 40, 50 meters while the ball was mid-flight to cut the run of the ball off, mark it, and then go and snap the goal for his 5th or his 6th. He was incredible. And as a sign-off to our reaction this week, I want to talk about Lawson Humphries and his first career goal that could not have come at a better time. He was incredible. I mean, look, Lawson Humphries is one of the... I mean, if he didn't debut so late in the season, he'd be in the rising star race with Ollie Dempsey up to his eyeballs. But he won't be. But put in a really, really solid performance tonight. Again, like they're solid numbers. He's getting the ball. He's so clean. His disposal efficiency is awesome. And the second that ball landed in his hands, and you could see some magic kind of starting to play out between Tyson Stengel and Ollie Dempsey as they were waxing back and forth. But being able to watch it on TV, you could kind of see, okay, Ollie's going to have to center this thing from here, whether it's by hand or by foot. And to see, Lawson Humphries come into the shot and be the one with hands on, in that moment, despite the fact that he had never kicked a career goal, I just knew it was going through. He's silk. He's so clean with the ball. And sure enough, it went through. The way the team reacted and got around him was awesome. It was amazing to see. Cats fans, let me know what you think about Lawson Humphries kicking his first career goal and many other aspects of the game today. There's a lot to discuss about the Geelong Football Club. And of course, we have a game against Freo next week. Could very well be a top 4 clash. It could be very well determining which of the two teams places in positions 1 through 4 this season. And I sincerely hope we get the chocolates. I won't be part of any preview content, so I'm just going to go out on a limb now and say the Cats will sneak home by a similar margin today. It'll be tight, but we'll get the job done. Cats fans, let me know what you think in the comments. Hit us up on social media at The Hoops Crew. You can find me at Paul James Games. Go and check out our Patreon if you haven't already, where you can get, if you're not already a patron, you can get 1 week of free, exclusive, and 100% access to all of the stuff that we put there on the channel to dip your toes in and see what it's all about. And then consider, for the cost of 1 coffee for the month, that's $5 or $6, you can jump in to the Patreon, support what we're doing and how we're growing, but also check out a whole range of those exclusives all day, every day. There's plenty that we post, from the scratching post to previews to behind the play when we bring that back. There's a whole range of cool things that we're doing there. Check all of it out. You get exclusive access to everything. You get early access to a bunch of other things as well. We've got so much going on. Check it all out. Cats fans, remain Geelong strong. Thanks as always for tuning in. Up the Catters. I'll see you later.